It's DJ Felicia and our very own Phil Edwards in the studio for us on Rise and Shine. In light of the fact that we've got Visionathon just, racing towards us, only a week away. I'm fairly new around these parts.
I'm even newer.
And having a chat, I've been blessed to be able to chat to a lot of listeners over the last couple of days, in preparation for Visionathon. And I'm surprised I'm getting either, some people who've been calling the breakfast show who've been listening since day one. I've been listening since the very start is what a lot of people say. And then a lot of people are out there saying, hey, I've been with you for a month, 2 months, and I'm just, immersing ourselves into the family. How long have you been part of Vision?
I've been here for 20 years, DJ.
And you're only 21, Phil, so that's incredible.
I know. I started when I was one.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I've been here for nearly 20 years. Not the CEO that whole time, about 10 years as the CEO. So I've seen incredible change in the ministry over that period of time. Remember when I first started at Vision?
Yeah.
We were very much... what's the polite way to say it? Volunteer kind of organisation. The standard of what we were doing then was a little different to what we're doing today. Yeah. But the passion of the people then was incredible, and the passion of the people is up there still today. So that hasn't changed. But we've developed our craft. We've had new people come in, and of course we've grown like crazy. And that's to your point, DJ. There's a whole lot of people as we've grown, and particularly in recent times, the last couple of years, we've had some really significant additions to our distribution footprint, if you like, which has opened the door for a whole lot of new people to go, oh, wow, I've just discovered this great thing called Vision.
Yeah.
And they're very new, and they won't know that rich history, which actually goes back 35 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
7th of December will be the 35th anniversary for Vision.
That's amazing.
And that started with just a handful of visionary people. 6 people there were. They gathered around. So picture this. They're in somebody's house in the northwestern suburbs of Sydney is actually where that very first meeting happened. And they came from all over the place, by the way. That was just, I think it was the house of the legal person that they had, or whatever it was at the time. But it just so happened it was in a suburb called Cherry Brook. In Sydney, and they met there together, and they're like, okay, let's formalise this thing, let's get going. And it's like anything. You're called to do something. You've actually got to get to that point where you make a decision. Wow. That's what they did. They formalised it, and then after that, not much happened for a couple of years.
Wow.
Right.
And I reckon that would have been pretty frustrating and perhaps downheartening for them.
Yeah.
But opportunity did come. Things changed, things happened, and more doors opened. They walked through, and then we continue to walk through them today.
Is the reason why nothing happened for a couple of years, was there issues they had to face? Or was there mountains they were trying to climb? Was there opposition to what they were trying to do? Or
Well, really, they felt called to do something, and this is really the faith piece, I reckon, because they felt called to do something where there really wasn't much opportunity. Because you're talking about a broadcast licensed scenario, so you've got to have licenses. That's, certainly very different today with the internet. But then if you wanted to broadcast, that was your only option.
Wow.
And so that was base one. So they're scratching their heads going, how do we crack this nut?
Wow.
And really it was in the early 1990s, if you can remember back then, there was change in law. And again, this is God's timing in things. Yeah. They felt called to come together to formalise this thing. So they were actually then positioned when the government changed the then Broadcasting Services Act of 1992. It might have been 91, anyway, one of the two. That was the thing that then opened up a whole lot of new opportunities. So they were ready to go.
Wow. The God's timing of getting them a couple of years beforehand, ready to do it. So when it did change, they were to step in.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
I love it.
How good is God?
Yeah.
Having you in the right place at the right time and preparing that pathway before.
Yeah. And I'd love to have a time machine to be able to go back and sort of, sit down at the table with those 6 people and say, let me give you a few photos, and I'll pull out my phone. They'll go, what is that?
Wow. Wait.
They'll say, that's a phone, but there's no buttons on it.
Exactly. Where's the line? Where's the cord?
And again, the technology has changed a lot between then and now, and other things have opened up. So what started as being 6 people who just had radio in their mind picture. Yeah. Has grown into a really strategically diverse mix of media that we use today, but the essence of what we want to do is exactly what they wanted to do.
Amazing.
And that's just reach people where they are with the good news of God.
I love it.
And it's as simple as that. So we use the media is just the bit in the middle.
Yes.
And God does the work as we're faithful to what he calls us to do, as we continue to take his word and we communicate it, we drop it into people's hearts and minds, and the Holy Spirit does the rest. But we need to be faithful, and that's at the heart of the mission that God has given to each and every one of us. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5 talks about the mission of reconciliation that we've been given. A lot of talk in Australia about reconciliation. Yes, we need to be reconciled with our past, with things that we've done wrong, perhaps with other people, one to another. But ultimately, we have to be reconciled to God first.
Amen.
And as we do that, that's where the heart change happens. That opens the door for reconciliation one to another. Amazing things can happen. So, they had radio in their mind. That was it. Radio is still a huge part of what we do, but it's this other, mix of things that we do as well. Of course, print came along, the internet came along, and at the end of the day, we just want to reach out to people in every corner of Australia with the good news of God. That's at the heart of what we're about.
I love it. You mentioned, amazing things can happen when, things are lined up right. I want to hear a couple more of those amazing things.
Oh, there's plenty of stories, DJ.
All right, we're going to get into it next. Let's have a quick break here on Rise and Shine. Fel, DJ, we got Phil Edwards here. Phil is regaling us with stories that we won't repeat on on the airwaves of different stories over the radio. But we've pulled you in to get you telling us some stories about the history of vision.
Yeah,
Fel, you've got a couple of questions.
Well, that's right. I love it because I'm brand new here, Phil, and I love hearing the stories about when God has come through for vision in the past, and that you just telling us about how it was formed and that God had got prepared hearts of these men and women beforehand, just a couple of years before the broadcasting license was available. What great timing.
It is. God's timing is everything. And even today, we don't know what's coming next for a lot of things.
That's right.
If I look back over the last few years, if take us back to 2020, say, there's a lot of things we didn't know were coming.
Yeah.
But if I look at it, things that are happening now. So we've just in the last couple of years established a high-powered FM service in Hobart.
Yeah.
We've established digital radio in Brisbane, and then early next year, digital radio in Sydney and Melbourne. So on the eastern seaboard, there's the 4 largest cities where just in a very short period of time, we've had opportunity come our way that we've been able to say, okay, we're going to step through these doors. And it is, each one has been a step of faith. I remember the Hobart license. So that was an auction that the Broadcast Authority had put forward saying, okay, who's interested in this? There were about 12 parties that expressed interest. And at the time, we didn't have the money, no idea what it was going to go for. But it's one of those things like, well, you got to be in it.
Yeah.
And so we decided, all right, we'll register our interest. I think it was $1,000 or something to put down just to bid.
Wow.
And then it was amazing. The funds came in, people responded, and we beat out the competition to acquire that license.
That's
and then
amazing.
alongside that, the transmitters that we needed were supplied, I can only say by God, because they came from another ministry overseas and at the same time had kind of put the word out to say, hey, we've got these transmitters. Is anybody interested in them? They can go to another ministry at no cost apart from freight. So basically you just pick them up.
Wow.
So,
where do they come from? What country?
They were in storage. I think they were in America, if I remember correctly. They had originally come out of somewhere in Europe. And not that old, and this is high grade stuff. This is the exact same stuff you'll find that the ABC or some of the big commercial networks are using. So
God provided.
Again, God's provision, and we've seen that time and time again throughout the history of this ministry.
Wow.
Okay, so as we're facing our biggest challenge ever, stepping out in faith with, we've got the DAB, Sydney and Melbourne, very, very excited. You and the team have decided to step forward in faith. We're asking for $2.3 million. That's the biggest we've ever asked for in the history.
Let me just reframe that word.
Okay.
DJ, is we're believing.
Okay.
Now, we're asking people to prayerfully consider, would you believe with us? And will you step with us?
That's right.
But really it comes back to this whole believing thing. I'll be completely honest here, I really, really grappled with this number.
Wow.
Because this is the largest amount that we've ever believed for in a Visionathon.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we've seen God come through with some incredible things in the past, and we just believe that he will come through again.
I love that.
I don't know who's out there. We haven't got a whole bunch in our back pocket, waiting to go. This is faith.
Yeah. But God is the God of the impossible, isn't he? He's the God
Absolutely.
of the breakthrough. When we think that looks too big, God always comes through time and time again.
So will you believe with us? That's basically my question to you today. Will you believe with us? And this isn't really about a radio network or, a thing. It's about the people, reaching the people. As I said before, taking the good news of God to every corner of Australia through media. And the opportunity we have with media today is massive to reach people, connect with them wherever they are, and take the good news directly to them.
I love it. I love it. This is these testimonies of what God has done in the past, inspiring us to just jump into Visionathon next week. You can get involved right now. You can head over to vision.org.au and get part of it there. Phil, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks, guys.